All right, everybody, let me get to the spot. Let me get to the spot. Oh, you know you can never. Come on, get in focus, get in focus. All right, you know you can never go wrong with a nice, clean white shirt. All right, I know you might be able to see a little bit of my little hairs right there, but that's all right. That's all right. We're good. Got little man hairs right there. You know, got to work on this little neck going. All right, let's get right to it. This is Playing Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton, and we are still on chapter 8. This chapter was a beast because I covered so many different things. I kind of jumped around a little bit, but there is a flow of, as you're reading the chapter of what I'm talking about. But this particular point, I talk more specifically about really knowing, and it goes back to the three questions. What do you want? Why do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Why do you want what you want? And can you see it in your imagination? Do you have a clear mental picture of what that looks like? All right. But in this particular section, we're talking about specifically why it is so important that you know why. All right. And one of the first examples, I need to put my little notes right here, is one of my favorite books and movies is Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll, aka Charles Dodson, I think that's his real name. He has an interaction. He has these interactions constantly through the movie, but the most powerful ones were always with the Cheshire Cat. And so there was an interaction with Alice and the Cheshire Cat, and it really touched me because it talks about knowing why. Why you must know what you want and why. Because if you don't have those, you're kind of going aimlessly. So here's the interaction. Alice goes, I got to get my little voices going. Would you tell me please which way I ought to go from here? And the cat goes, that depends a good deal on where you want to go to. All right. Then she goes, I don't much care where, says Alice. Then he goes, then it doesn't matter which way you go. So then she goes, so long as I get somewhere. Then he goes, oh, you're sure to do that, said the cat, if you only walk long enough. Now, if you followed my choppy reading of the story, think back to that. Now, if you play it back and then listen to it again, or go find that interaction in the book. You see how powerful that is? She says she wants to go somewhere. He says, where do you want to go? She just goes, I don't care. I don't really much care. I just want to get out of here. And he said, just start going. Anywhere will take you. And so what I came up with, and I might just do a shirt or something like this, I said, nowhere is everywhere. If you don't know where you're going, anywhere you are is where you should be, because you don't have an idea of where you want to be. So anywhere is fine with you. So everywhere on this planet, there are people that are in places and they know why they're there. But then there are other people in places who have no idea how they got there. So nowhere is everywhere. Everywhere is nowhere. You understand? It really depends on, if you know where you're going, when you get there, there is a purpose. You have a purpose while you're there. Now, if you're just wandering aimlessly, jumping from house to house, then, hey man, I'm just living off my wits. I'm just floating around. Yeah. You'll end up in some crazy place in some city. And then, once you come to your senses, you'll look around and go, how the hell did I get here? And you want to know why? Real quick, I can tell you. It's because you had no idea where you were going. So you just allowed every other person's decision who had a purpose where they were going. They used you, and now nobody needs you right now. So you ain't being pushed anywhere. All right. So I thought that was very crucial. Now, when I was in school at ASU and I was studying sociology, I came across a book. It was a book that we had to buy for class, one of the rare books that I bought for class. And within the book was a bunch of essays. And one of those particular essays, it was called, and I got it right here. This is the book. Might be able to find it somewhere. Social Theory. Awesome. and you can tell. Look, I've read, that you got markings all in. Before this book is falling apart. There's markings and everything, and specifically on this particular essay, it was written in 1979 by Audre Lorde, and it actually was not an essay she wrote. It was somebody recorded her presentation at a conference, and if you read it all, she was pissed off that they put her at the very end of the conference. And supposedly, and if you know Audre Lorde, Audre, Audre Lorde, Lorde. Look her up. You'll find out black, feminist, and lesbian. So she was at a conference that was actually hitting on all those topics. Black, lesbian, feminist, all these things. They were covering all the stuff. And she said, I've listened to everybody at this conference. And she said, this is something that just seems to kind of blow me away. Is that, and she had this, and I'm just going to read it a little bit right here. She says, for the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us temporarily to beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring about genuine change. And what she was talking about specifically was the hierarchy of America. White, male, dominates. That's what she was saying. And she said was that power structure, they're the masters. And they always look at us as tools. And she said, they're never going to allow us to do these different things, but they're never going to allow us great power to make great change. All right. Now, I didn't look at it and say, well, I'm going to take this angle of white domination, this, and, against feminism. No. This is what I got out of that. She basically says, if you do not have control over your destiny, everything else, you're just playing around. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I brought the point that I mentioned as far as, what did I say, as far as with Alice. Alice did not know where she was going. And the Cheshire Cat was going, well, I can't help you. You have no idea. I can't even point you in a direction. So really, you just go. And wherever you go, that's where you're going to be. And based on the information you gave me, you'll be right where you need to be. So Audre Lorde and what she's talking about, here's the connection there. Audre Lorde says, if you do not command control over the things that you want, you trying to go to someone else to get that control is absolutely ludicrous, because they're not going to relinquish any control to you to allow you to do the things you do if those things are going to dismantle his or their positions of power. So I looked at that and say that you have to have control. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what you want. When you are the master of those things, when you are the master of knowing what you want, why you want it, and you can clearly see a vision where you're going, nobody is going to be in your way. Nobody is going. Then what happens is that, like you said, tools. I talked about this in one of the other videos, that if you do not know what you want, why you want, you have a clear vision, you're just a tool for somebody else who knows where they're going. So I say you got to flip that around. You've got to know what you want, why you want it, and you have to have a clear vision of what that looks like. So what that does, you become the master. You're no longer a tool. And you don't use people, but you utilize them to get to where you want to go. Big difference from being a tool, and now you're actually the master. And the master knows what. I think there's an old saying. I use this analogy as far as there's a screwdriver in the box or a hammer in the toolbox, and the master comes, picks up the tool, and starts using it. And the hammer goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the master goes, duh, you're a hammer. There's a nail. I need to hit that nail. Well, the hammer doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. Screwdriver doesn't know what he was doing. The master does. Now, once the screwdriver knows and the hammer knows who they are and what they can do with that skill set, now they can garner the attention to get the things done that they want to do, utilize their skill, market their skills to other people who need their services. They don't need to wait for someone who knows what their value is. Does that make sense? So that's a part of chapter 8 that I dive into a little bit, where I say you must know what you want, and specifically you have to know why what you want in order for you to be effective and not be someone else's tool. All right. So here's my challenge. Okay, this is a very short one. Know why you're here. Okay, let's go find out. Let's start asking ourselves the question, what do we want? Hold on a second. Okay. Dang. I always turn the refrigerator down here in the office and I put it down to like 1 or whatever, and then it pops up. Right? I guess what happened is that when I turn that off, the office gets hot and then it comes back on. All right, enough of that. All right, know why you're here. Okay, that's a very crucial question. I believe Mark Twain has a quote where he says, no, hold on, let me tell you. He says, there's the two most important days of your life. Hold on just a second. Let me just make that disappear. All right. Mark Twain says there's the 2 most important days of your life. The day you're born and the day you find out why you're here. And so that's why I say it's very important that you begin that process of knowing why you're here, because then you can start searching for, different things. So when you know why you're here, then you're going to be very open to experiences, because now you're in control. If you say, hey, I really know I'm going to pursue this, and it may change over time, but once you get clear focus on what you want, why you want it, where you're going, now you're going to look for experiences that are going to help you get to where you're going. And you're open to experiences. And then if something happens, you go, ooh, okay, that's moving me in that direction, as far as moving me in my goals. I also know that when you know what you want, you know why you're here, you operate out of faith. You don't operate out of fear. Because if you know why you're here, when something happens, I have a purpose. I'm where I need to be. This is just an experience. So I don't feel I'm being attacked. It's just an experience because I know where I'm going, and nothing's going to stop me from getting to where I'm going. Does that make sense? All right. So, again, let's close out with this. The challenge again is ask yourself the 3 questions. Always start with the 3 questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? And can you put in your mind a very clear picture on what your future is going to be? That's going to help shape a lot of your decisions. All right. So again, we're finishing up with chapter 8. We're going to have some other ones. But again, this is Plan Your Greatness. Let me see. All right. We'll just finish up with this. Plan your greatness. And I'll say this again. Plan your greatness. Wow. I am just a mess in this video. I might have to just redo this one. All right. Plan your greatness. I'm going to keep it just because it's like real. Plan your greatness. You know why? Because no one else will. I'll see you guys all next time.